In this chapter, we're going to be talking about exception handling in Ruby. And exception handling really involves how do we handle the errors that come up in our program. And by errors, I'm not talking about syntax errors such as misspelling a keyword or something like that. What I'm talking about are logical errors that are not something that the programmer necessarily anticipates, but can happen. Although really talking about anticipation is not the right way to put it, because by the very fact that we're going to be doing exception handling means that we are going to be anticipating some type of error to occur. What I want to do in this lesson is just demonstrate so you can see exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about an exception. So we're going to talk about two exceptions in this lesson. So let's get started. We'll call this program except.rb. Let me line this up. Exceptions occur due to things that the system cannot handle when the program is running, but it's not something that the interpreter is going to discover as you're typing in the program. For example, if I write something like this, num1 gets the value 12, num2 gets the value 0, and then print num1 divided by num2. Watch what happens when we run this program. That is an example of something called an exception. It's actually an error. It's a zero division error, but it occurred because we tried to divide by 0, and that operation is not defined in Ruby. Some languages actually allow you to do that and will give you some type of answer. A very common answer would be not a number, N-A-N. I'm thinking JavaScript here. But again, some languages allow you to do that. Many don't. And when you do try to divide by 0, you get that type of error. Let me show you another type of error, or exception. You can call them both things. Exception handling is the official term, but error handling works just as well. Let's look at another example. I'll comment out these first lines. In the next example, we're going to try to open a file. So let's save and run the program. We don't need to do anything more than that. And you'll see that when we tried to run it, we get the error, no such file or directory. That's another example of an exception. Again, when we typed in the program, the compiler had no way to know if a file.txt exists in the file system or not. So it just has to try to open the file, and then when it does so, and it can't find it, it causes an error, or in exception handling terms, we say it either raised or threw an exception. So what we're going to do in this chapter is demonstrate ways to handle exceptions so that when these exceptions occur, the program doesn't crash and go back to the operating system. That's really the worst thing that can happen. What we want to do is we want to give the user of the program the opportunity to correct the problem, or even the program itself if possible. So in the next few lessons, that's what we're going to be talking about, how to handle exceptions in Ruby. And we'll commence with that in the very next lesson.